So going towards the T20 World Cup, boys, the other thing is, Huss, that they don't have a lot of squares over there in the UAE. So what's Australia? I think just watching even the last couple of series in Bangladesh and West Indies, you've got to pick the right team for the conditions. If you don't get it right, you're cooked.
Yeah, definitely. And there's basically three main grounds. There's one up in Abu Dhabi, there's one in Dubai, and then one in Sharjah. And I haven't been there for this sort of part of the tournament, but certainly playing or coaching there at the IPL last time, it seemed like they were all a fair bit different in the way they sort of played. And so, yeah, I think you're right. We're going to have to sort of make sure that they read the conditions really well. I'm sure they'll tap into some guys that have been playing at the IPL, guys like Glenn Maxwell, Steve Smith, to really get a good understanding about what each pitch is doing and what's the best team for the conditions. I think Australia's actually got a pretty good squad. I think we cover all the bases pretty well. We can go in with two spinners if need be. And in fact, that's why I'd like to go actually for most of it. I think Agar and Zampa work pretty well together. If the conditions are really bad, you could throw a third one in there with Schwepson perhaps as well.
Definitely.
If you've got that extra balance of having someone like a Mitch Marsh or a Stoinis who can come in and bowl some overs as well. It's going to be interesting to see which batting order they go for Australia too, because Mitch Marsh did really well batting at number 3 in the previous couple of tours. But is that the best spot for him to bat, or do you need someone like Steve Smith to come in and play the spin well through the middle over? So I'm going to be fascinated to see which way the Australian selectors decide to go.
Yeah, I'm interested with that too. I think Huss having a look at the wickets and the conditions over there, I think you have to go in with Mitch Marsh at 3. I think the top 4 batters have to go really hard and try to take advantage of that early part of the game. And if you lose a couple of wickets, I think that's okay. I would bring someone like Steve Smith in at number 5. Right. I think having a look at how the IPL played out, that the conditions became a lot harder at the back end to manipulate the spinners. And the one thing he's really good at, and he sort of made a name for himself at the start of his career, actually, of batting down there and closing out 2020 games, is he can control that part of the game. Then you've got Wade and Stoinis and that behind him. An interesting selection, I'm curious, we've been over there. We've got 3 spinners that go exactly the same way.
Yeah.
I think Nathan Lyon with in that squad could have played a role. Not every game, but you talk about in 2020, you talk a lot about role players. And we come up against West Indies are in our pool. They got a lot of left-handers in their team. See, someone like Nathan Lyon could have played a really big role there in that match. And as you know, to get through that group stage can sometimes be the hardest to do. So, yeah, I'll be interested to see how I think they have to play 2 spinners. I think you've also got to find a spot for Schwepson. I think Agar and Zampa have done an outstanding job for us for a long period of time. But Swepper, I reckon, can beat you on the outside of the bat with his leg spinner. The other 2 attack the stumps. So, yeah, it'd be interesting to see which way they go, but I definitely think they'd have to go with 2 spinners.
Well, I think Maxwell can probably help out by spinning it the other way, but he's certainly not in the same class as Nathan Lyon. What about the toss, Hads? How important are the tosses going to be? Because watching from afar, it seems like the conditions could change quite a lot from the first innings to the second innings in the IPL.
Yeah, I think the toss is going to play a huge part. And one of the big parts, I think, could come into play there as well. And it'll vary at different grounds. I know Dubai started to get a lot of dew come in, so that the wicket can change mid-innings there. Sharjah, the dew didn't come into play a lot, but you didn't want to be chasing runs there. There's no way in the world you wanted to be chasing runs there. The wickets slowed up and they looked really, really tight. And one thing going back to with the wickets, in the IPL, if you didn't win the power play, you didn't win the game. So that's why I reckon Mitch Marsh and guys like that are going to be really important on those wickets to take advantage of those first 6 overs.
And obviously we want the old school going for one more battle, don't we, Finchy and Davey? Like to have big tournaments, runs right at the top when it's not turning too much. You probably already alluded to it, Had. So you definitely go Wadey over Inglis?
Yeah, well, I think they've shown their cards with that. I think if Finchy doesn't come up, I think you could move with his knee. I'm not sure where he's at the moment, but you can move Wade up to the top, and then Inglis can bat in the middle. The one thing I really liked about Inglis's play is I watched him during the Big Bash last year. He sort of overplayed his hand a little bit at the top of the order at the start of the campaign, but once he moved into the middle order with the Scorchers, I think he really controlled the tempo of the game. He's got a really good set of being able to play the lap shots and get to the other end. So he's an option that you could use at the back end of the game. And you talk about role players. I think he's a real role player in the last 5 overs, but Matthew Wade can play that role as well. So I think he'll get the first crack.
What do you reckon's minimum finish for the Aussies? You know, I have. It's tough the round games. You know, we've got England and the West Indies, but I'm hoping we get to the semis and it's a lottery after that. You think we'll make the semis at least?
I'm pretty bullish actually, Flem. I think Australia can go all the way to the final, and I know I'm hearing Hads with the subcontinental teams being used to the conditions. I think we've got a really good squad, and I think we can cover all the bases there. There's certainly got to have a bit of luck, and we've got a lot that's got to go right. As you mentioned, we need that top 3, probably 4. Maxwell, throw him in there at 4. They probably need to have big tournaments as well. But we've got a bit of X factor with the ball. They're an experienced team now, and they've actually played a fair bit of T20 cricket together, and that they all know their roles quite well and are quite settled in their roles. So I think that's going to be pretty important. So if they can start well, get used to those conditions as quickly as possible, and get their confidence up, I honestly believe that Australia can go a fair way. And there's some bloody good teams out there. Like India on paper look like an unbelievable good team as well. But I honestly reckon Australia, no one's giving them much of a chance. I think they can just sneak under the radar and hopefully get on a bit of a roll.
Yeah, see, I'm with you there, Huss. I think for the first time in a long time, we've got some options and some really good balance in the squad. I like the fast bowlers. I like Mitchell Starc in a World Cup. I think he's going to play a huge role up front with the new ball to get wickets. And one thing found on the wickets over there was the height of the bowlers as well. Height made a difference, and that's what we've got. We've got Cummo, we've got Hazelwood, who've got height. Josh Hazelwood bowled really well for Chennai over there through the middle overs when they were tough. So I agree. I think Australia will be disappointed if they don't make the final.
Well, I just hope they don't let you two down. Now you've actually put that pressure on them.
What do you reckon, Flem? What are your thoughts, Flem?
I think we can, but England and India. Well, India worry me because they're coming straight out of the IPL. But the problem a lot of the time is in World Cups expectation, and for once, I think the expectations are lower on us, and a lot of it's gauged on our squad that went to the West Indies and Bangladesh. Like half of them are gone.
Yeah.
So, let's win it.